Pooh Shiesty been sitting in jail for the last 3 days. Bro, Pooh Shiesty back in headlines, and this time a new raid reportedly got him picked up with his father. This probably got something to do with that little situation that took place between Gucci Mane and them allegedly. Rumors already flying linking the situation to Gucci Mane. Now it's all about what really went down and who really called the shots. Let's break it down. The raid. Early morning, April 1st, 2026. The feds pulled up to a house on Beaver Valley Lane in Cordova, Tennessee, a quiet suburb sitting east of Memphis. No warning, no knock, no courtesy call. Neighbors got woken up by flashbangs, stun grenades. Around 6 o'clock in the morning, agents breached the back door and moved through the whole spot. Local news crews from Fox 13 Memphis Reg and Action News 5 were pulling up on scene not long after, watching FBI agents going in and out the residence. For hours straight, they heard of the FBI and TVI screaming, basically going into the house, saying that this is the FBI. That was the scene on the ground. FBI and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation working the same operation. Flashbangs, loudspeakers, a whole neighborhood that had zero idea what was about to happen to their block. A neighbor told reporters exactly what they heard that morning. No warning, just a boom. Then federal agents flooding the whole street. The FBI confirmed they were the home to execute a federal court-authorized search and arrest warrant. That is all they gave up. No names, no charges, no word on what they were looking for or who they were actually coming for. Agents ran to the main house, the garage, and 4 vehicles, one sitting inside the garage, 3 more in the driveway. At one point, all 4 trunks were popped open at the same time while agents tagged each whip and took pictures of everything inside. They were not rushing through nothing. Every vehicle got gone through. Every trunk got checked. Then they turned back around and kept working inside of the house. As the morning pushed into the afternoon, agents got spotted carrying out computer monitors and brown paper evidence bags, the kind they use when they're locking in physical evidence. No on-scene arrests got caught on camera that morning. Not one person walked out in cuffs while the news crews were watching. While all this was going down, a black BMW pulled up to the property. A woman stepped out. Neighbors told reporters she actually lived at the crib. She did not want to talk to nobody. She walked right past the cameras and kept it moving. It is worth mentioning there was a vehicle that pulled into the driveway while those agents were here. A young woman got out. Neighbors told me that woman actually lives here. By the afternoon, federal agents had largely cleared out the scene. They had what they came for. The question everybody was trying to answer was whose house is this exactly? Property records at the Shelby County Assessor's office list the home under the name Lantrell Williams. That name belongs to 2 people. Pooh Shiesty, born Lantrell Dental Williams Jr. and his father, Lantrell D. Williams Sr., known in some circles as my boss. The county records do not say junior or senior, just a name, which made everything that followed way more complicated. That one name on the deed blew the door open on every question people had. Was it Pooh's crib, his pops? Was a warrant targeting the son, the father, or somebody else altogether? The feds gave no answers. So the internet started filling in the blanks on its own. The arrests who got grabbed. The morning of a raid did not produce any arrests that the cameras caught, but by April 2nd, 2026, inmate records and social media reports from accounts closely tracking the situation confirmed that Lantrell D. Williams, Sr., Pugh's father, had been arrested and booked into custody in Memphis after the raid. Pooh Shiesty's father, mob boss, cuffed up after the feds ran through the spot. As for Pooh himself, there are no credible reports that he was arrested, detained, or even in the building during the raid. Every mainstream outlet covering the story in real time found zero evidence of him getting snatched up in connection with this. The feds released nothing that personally tied him to whatever the warrant was targeting. But that did not stop the rumors, and those rumors were already moving before the flashbangs even went off. Street blogger Seti Nash was posting videos right after the FBI showed up to the block. His claim was that Pooh had already been sitting in a cell for 3 days before the raid even happened. He said Big 30, Pooh's day one, was on the run, and he tied the whole thing directly to an alleged incident involving Gucci Mane. Pooh Shiesty been sitting in jail for the last 3 days. Bro, that has seen Nash's account. Unverified. No official record backs up the claim that Pooh was already locked up before the raid. And his grill. They snatched his grill. Big 30 is on the run. No official confirmation on that either, but the narrative had already gone viral by the time anyone thought to pump the brakes. Here is the thing about Pooh Shiesty's legal status at the time all of this happened. He had touched down from federal prison on October 6 to 7, 2025 after serving roughly 3 years of a 63-month bid. His original projected release date had been April 2026. Good behavior and credits got him out early, but coming home did not mean he was fully free. He landed on supervised release, 3 years of it with conditions. No new criminal activity, no firearms, no running with known felons, the whole standard federal package. And in January 2026, brief rumors circulated that he had caught a new charge and was back in custody after BOP records showed him at a residential reentry management facility in Dallas, with a new projected release date of April 11, 2026. That situation got cleared up fast. It was standard supervised release processing. The kind of halfway house situation that happens in the final stretch of a federal sentence. No new charges, no violation, just completing the tail end of his release program before he could move fully free. I think they were saying he was still in the halfway house, too. And that's his pop's house. It's still confusing to me, even like P's still in the halfway house. He'd been damned since October. The confusion over whether he was home or still in a halfway house put another layer on an already murky situation. The crib on Beaver Valley Lane was a family home. His pops was living there. And whatever that warrant was actually about, it was connected to that address and that name. That was the story circulating in the streets. But no charging document, no official statement, no law enforcement press release has verified any of it. What is confirmed? The father got booked, Pooh Shiesty had not personally been charged or taken into custody in relation to this raid. And that matters because it changes everything about how you read what comes next. Pooh's surest history with the feds. To understand why the internet went all the way up when those flashbangs hit. To understand why people saw the FBI on that block and immediately assumed the worst. You have to know what Pooh's paper looks like. He was born November 8th, 1999 in Memphis, Tennessee. His first run-in with law enforcement came in middle school. Reports say it led to expulsion, time in an alternative school, and juvenile detention. No public record breaks down the specifics from that period. His adult jacket tells a much clearer story. On July 7, 2020, he was a passenger in a car that shots got fired from at a Memphis gas station. No serious injuries were detailed in federal documents from that incident, but it got folded into a federal case later down the line. Then came Florida. On October 13, 2020, Pooh Shiesty got arrested in Bay Harbor Islands, Florida. The allegation, he and co-defendants linked up with victims who were selling marijuana and high-end sneakers. What started as a transaction turned into something else. According to prosecutors, the victims got assaulted, their items got taken, drugs, sneakers, cash, and shots rang out. One victim caught a bullet in the hip. Another got hit in the rear. Evidence included Instagram posts showing a Louis Vuitton bag, and cash whose serial numbers matched what got taken from the scene. He was charged with armed robbery, aggravated assault with firearm, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and theft. The feds picked the case up and ran with it. Less than a year later, on June 9, 2021, he got knocked again in Miami-Dade. This time for allegedly spinning a security guard in the leg at the King of Diamonds on Memorial Day weekend. He sat without bond. The victim later walked back some of what he said, but the incident got added to the federal investigation that was already building around him. Federal prosecutors in the Southern District of Florida came with a multi-count indictment, conspiracy to possess firearms, and furtherance of crimes of violence and drug trafficking, Hobbs Act robbery conspiracy, and discharging a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence, the charge that had life in prison attached to it. On January 4th, 2022, Pooh Shiesty took a plea, 1-count conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes. Prosecutors dropped the other 3 counts, including the one that could have had him gone forever. His defense. argued he was not the shooter in the hotel situation and was only trying to cop some codeine personally. On April 20th, 2022, U.S. District Judge K. Michael Moore handed him 63 months in federal prison plus 3 years of supervised release to follow. The prosecution was pushing for up to 97 months. He walked away with 63. That is his rap sheet. 1 adult conviction, multiple arrests that fed into it, a plea deal that knocked out the most serious charges. Then he went to do his time. I mean, I'm not saying I'm surprised or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, this is obviously not the way to play it. Like, right now, street rap is in a desperate space. People were locked in on his every move since October 2025. Every decision he made was under a microscope. Every step was being watched. And now this. I was surprised to see Pooh play this like this. Especially with him being so fresh out and then the success that he's been experiencing and the way that he was welcome home. The frustration coming out of that clip is real. People had genuine expectations for what Pushiest could run up in 2026. The music was still ringing. The hunger was visible. And then April 1st happened. The Gucci Mane robbery rumor. The biggest question sitting over all of this is a simple one. Why? What were the feds actually there for? Officially, nobody knows. The FBI put out nothing about the underlying investigation, who the warrant was targeting, or what charges were being built. As of April 2nd, 2026, no court documents or charging information had been dropped publicly. But the streets had a story, and that story had been running for months before any raid went down. The rumor Pooh with Big 30, and a crew pulled up on Gucci Mane up the Drax, took his jewelry off his neck and wrist, and forced him to sign paperwork cutting Pooh loose from his 2017 records deal. That rumor first went crazy on social media in mid-January 2026. It spread through podcasts, YouTube channels, and X threads for months straight. Not one police report, not one statement from Gucci Mane or his camp, not one court filing anywhere. The whole story lived in the space between what people were saying on the internet and what anyone could actually prove. Tasha K was among the first to put the story into circulation publicly in January 2026. Her version centered on the contract angle, framing it as a gunpoint force signing rather than a pure robbery. No jewelry stolen in her telling, just the paperwork. Then the story started picking up more weight. In a Vlad TV interview that spread everywhere, Adam 22 said multiple Memphis insiders confirmed the story to him as true. Specifically, that Pooh robbed Gucci of his wedding, ring and pressured him into signing a contract release. He also pointed the way Gucci responded or barely responded as something worth paying attention to. But I think if I'm speaking and going the right direction, this probably got something to do with that little situation that took place between Gucci Mane and them allegedly. That was the first instinct from commentators the moment the raid news broke. The Gucci connection was where everybody's mind went immediately, not because it was proven, because it was the only story that had been circulating in the months before. Sadie Nash took it even further. In the videos he dropped right after the raid, he broke down what he claimed was caught on camera. Drax in the air, a forced signing, the wedding ring, and watch getting stripped. He connected all of it directly to why the feds ran up on Beaver Valley Lane on April 1st. His claim was that kidnapping and robbery charges were on the way. So, Gucci walk in the damn studio, bro, with his people to Draco. That is, see Nash's account of what allegedly went down in the room. He says security footage captures the whole thing. He names who was present. He puts both Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 in their holding iron. Pushy had one on him. Big 30 had one on him. Only person who really going to escape from this is the Pops. The Pops did not want none of this to go on. __ like this, bro. He mentions the father directly in that account. Says the Pops was present. Says the father wanted no part of what was happening in that room. You can't tell your son nothing right now. Your son the number one right now. You're going to sign this. None of that has been confirmed by law enforcement. No charging documents named Gucci Mane. No press release connects the raid to the robbery rumor. But the timing coming right off months of that story circulating in every corner of hip-hop media made it impossible for people not to start connecting things. The background that gives a rumor its roots. Pooh Shiesty had been signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Records before his 2022 conviction. He separated from the label around the time of his prison sentence. His cousin Big Scar, also rocking with 1017, died in 2022. Some accounts say Pooh's people felt like Gucci did not show up the way he should have after Big Scar passed. That bad blood, some say, is what sparked everything that came after. Gucci Mane never filed a police report and never publicly confirmed that any incident happened. His response to the whole rumor was a single Instagram post, a video of his wedding ring still on his finger. No statement, no denial, no direct confrontation, just the ring on his hand. So I think there was a rumor that he got robbed for his wedding ring or something. He just put up a video holding up his wedding ring, and that was it. That was Gucci's whole move. A clip of the ring. Let the people interpret it however they want. If it's true, we all seen Gucci Man. He done got married. He been enjoying his life in Miami. That was Lil Woody laying out who Gucci is in 2026 versus who he used to be. The Gucci mania right now is not the same crash out from years ago. He stays quiet. He stays out of mess. And yet, his name is at the dead center of the biggest story in rap right now. Now, here's the layer that people keep pointing to when they try to explain how the feds might have gotten pulled in, if the rumor is even connected to the raid at all. The street version of events involved somebody present who was not a street figure, somebody who did not feel bound by any code. A civilian in the room who, once something threatening happened, did what civilians do. In situations where you approach somebody, and it's in public, and it's big crowds of people around, you have to be aware of these things, that everybody don't go by the street code. The point is simple. You can be beefing with a street dude who is going to keep it solid no matter what. But if he's got a manager with him, or an engineer, or a makeup artist, those people are not built for that. The moment they feel like their life is in danger, they are going to talk to whoever will listen. So you might have a beef with a street dude. He might have a manager with him. He might have a makeup stylist with him, or he might have an engineer with him. That's not with that. That is the mechanism people are. Pointing to for how the feds could have gotten a tip. Not from Gucci himself, but from somebody in that room who was not built to absorb what allegedly happened and just move on in silence. What this means and what comes next. Let's separate the facts from the noise. What is confirmed: the FBI ran up on a home on Beaver Valley Lane in Cordova, Tennessee on April 1st, 2026 with federal court authorized search and arrest warrant. The property is listed under the name Lantrell Williams. Lantrell D. Williams, Sr. Pooh Shiresty's father was arrested and booked into custody in Memphis after the raid. Pooh Shiesty personally has not been charged in connection with this event. What has not been confirmed: the link between this raid and Gucci Mane. Whether Pooh was already locked up before the raid happened, whether Big 30 is actually on a run, what charges a father is facing, what the underlying federal investigation is actually about. The FBI has said nothing beyond the warrant. Now, what is Pooh Shiesty legal? Exposure actually look like right now? Even without any new charges dropping, he is on federal supervised release with 3 years of conditions tied to his 2022 conviction. A supervised release violation, no new conviction needed, can send somebody straight back to federal prison. The time they can hand you just for the violation alone runs a wide range depending on the judge, how serious the conduct was, and what evidence the feds bring to the table. For Pooh Shiesty, it ranged from a few weeks to 3 years just on the violation before any new charges even enters the conversation. That is the box he is operating inside of right now. And some folks are even saying if Pooh Shiesty is found guilty in this situation right here, he could be in jail for the majority of the rest of his life. That is how heavy the math gets if federal charges for robbery, kidnapping, and firearms materialize and stick on top of a prior federal firearms conviction. The sentencing numbers stack fast when you're already a convicted felon coming back to federal court. The street commentary on what Pooh Shiesty could have done differently has been direct and unfiltered. The argument being made is about timing, positioning, and what was actually available to him. Street rap in early 2026 had no dominant name holding down the section at a national level. The lane was open, the audience was ready, and Pud was positioned to be the one to step into that space and run with it. Street rap is in a desperate space. There's no street rapper really. Making noise and putting on for that section in rap. And Pooh Shy was definitely slotted to be that guy. The welcome home energy was real. People were genuinely rooting for him to have a run. And then the feds came back into the picture. The deeper truth comes back to what Pooh's entire track record says about who he is and how he moves. People who have been following his story since before the music were not shocked by this moment. Not because they wanted it to happen, but because the pattern had already shown itself more than once. They had that perspective. To think Pooh would not handle it that way, you just probably ain't tapped into the history of Pooh Shiesty. Its documentaries on Push. That is the real tension sitting underneath all of this. The talent was never the issue. The music knocked. The fan base was genuine. But the decision-making that sent him to federal prison the first time, and the decision-making that may have put him back in this situation, if the rumors hold any truth run off the same logic. Like if you follow his track record, it's not surprising that he would conduct himself in a way, he was being shy when he went to jail. He went to jail for being too shy. Lil Woody broke down the situation in terms that did not sugarcoat anything. So if a person take upon theirself to go here and violate this man and publicly get on social media and try to, whatever, I'ma pray for you. And then he addressed Gucci Mane directly, speaking to what Gucci has built since coming home from his own bid and why the choices he made after prison are worth paying attention to. Gucci, if you watching this, let me tell you something, man. You continue to be a better man. Whatever the case is, you continue to ignore whatever they're talking about. As of the time of this video, Pooh's father is in custody. The FBI has gone quiet again. Whatever is sitting inside those brown evidence bags and on those computer monitors, it is now in federal hands. This is still a developing story, but what has already gone down, the flashbangs, the warrant, the father getting booked, that part is locked in and confirmed. Everything else is still playing out. So let's talk. Do you really think this raid had anything to do with Gucci Mane, or is his name just getting pulled in for hype? Let me know what you think in the comments. For more videos like this, click on this next card on your